Welcome to the Personal Pension Radio Podcast, where it's all about helping you complete your financial journey to retirement. Discover time-tested strategies and get unconventional insights into wealth building and retirement that actually work. Break away from the herd and go for the retirement you dream of. And now, here's your host, the income engineer, Kraig Strom.
All right, that's my cue. Back on Personal Pension Radio. Thank you once again for the download, for the listen, for the share, for the reviews. I love it. You did hear that correctly. I am the income engineer broadcasting today, nice and early in the morning from the Personal Pension Radio workshop here in Southern California. To all of those folks who were in Northern California and Southern near my home here that have been surrounded by and displaced by the fires in Southern California. It's just been a terrible past few weeks. We still have fires burning, but things are finally coming back under control. It's a really tough place to be, but we are all okay on the Personal Pension Radio family side of the world and happy about it. Now, my mission on this show and as a certified financial planning professional is to help you along your path in retirement, whatever your retirement dream is. And retirement means something different for a lot of people nowadays. I talked to someone just the other day. Well, he talked about retirement, and it looks like retirement will probably be just as long as he can work. Really, as long as he can work, not because he has to, but just because it's built into his DNA. Retirement is not the same for everybody, especially nowadays. Retirement has just changed. Some people are calling their first retirement or their second retirement, and they go off to do something different. Whatever your retirement path is, your retirement dream is, whether you're already in retirement, whether you're 5 years away or 10 years away, my goal is to pull back the curtain, and help you see the complete picture when it comes to the retirement conversation. I want to help you be able to ask questions. If you've got a relationship with a current financial planner, great. I want to help you ask some questions that can either strengthen that relationship or, yes, cause you to think, well, maybe I need to look elsewhere. Whether it's me or someone else, if you have advanced beyond your current financial planner, it's time for you to find a new financial planner. But you've got to know what the questions are. You got to know what to ask. You've got to have you've got to have something to gauge all that on. So when you think about retirement income planning, for example, if you haven't spoken to your financial advisor, your financial planner, about pre- and post-retirement planning, retirement income planning, you owe it to yourself to ask questions like, what's my retirement income look like at 65? Show me how you came up with that number. Explain the economics behind it. What are we going to do to avoid sequence risk and the 4% rule? What are we going to do to avoid all that? If your current financial planner has not shared that information with you, you have got to find out. Folks, get in there, talk to your financial planner and say, hey, what's my 65-year-old income plan? Tell me all the details behind how you're going to get me maximum lifestyle income. That's what I hope you take away from this show is motivation and encouragement to ask some questions that perhaps you're not asking and your current advisors are just not asking. Because Wall Street controls the education machine that educates financial planners. And most financial advisors today, they were taught by the same Wall Street machine that taught me the message to deliver to you, the general consumer public, about retirement planning. And it's just not complete. It is absolutely not complete. And I get asked all the time, why don't people hear some of these things that I say on my show from their financial planner? Why don't they hear it from their financial advisor? Well, my answer is the same. Every time I ask a question, does Wall Street have any financial incentive to teach me how to teach you how to take more money out of Wall Street. Of course not. Wall Street's incentive is to keep more money in Wall Street. It's just good business. So if the primary incentive from the average Wall Street investment firm or the average Wall Street trained advisor is that they've been taught to keep more money in the Wall Street system, do you think that they might be missing some additional retirement income concepts and strategies that they're not sharing because they either don't know about them or they don't want you to know about them? Maybe. That's what I want you to be able to take away from this show. That you know the answer is yes. There are things out there, strategies out there that you're just not going to hear much of the time from a mainstream trained financial advisory firm. It's just the fact. I know it because I lived it. So when I go into these kind of situations, I really am fighting that conventional wisdom about retirement planning. This bad advice, and I would say incomplete advice from the financial entertainers out there and financial advisors when it's just incomplete and, frankly, just bad from financial entertainers. The show is really meant to give you hope, though, for retirement, to turn that light back on at the end of the tunnel. You just have to be willing to stop following conventional wisdom. You've got to step out of line with the herd mentality. Now, quick disclosure. I am not an attorney. I am not a certified public accountant. I am a certified financial planner professional, as qualified as I think I sound. Please don't act on advice or things that you hear on this show, or especially from financial entertainers like Dave Ramsey or radio podcasts and things like that. Please don't act on things that you hear on those shows. Meet with a qualified financial planner before taking action. Please do that. You owe it to yourself. Please, please, please. Now, I want to start with a deal of the week. Deal of the week is a segment that I've now made a regular on my show. It is my personal quest for lifestyle deflation. Lifestyle deflation, the idea of finding every nook and cranny that I'm throwing money down a hole and I'm not getting any real good benefit out of it, and I'm just unnecessarily throwing money away. Well, the deal of the week, the deal of the week came this week from a friend, right? A friend of mine was about to buy a car, right? So husband and wife, they actually called me this week while they were sitting in a used car. Good job. They were sitting in a used car. That's the only way I would ever recommend buying one. But they're in this car getting ready to buy it, right? They're getting ready to buy it, but then they realize, whoa, hold on a second, right? This this lady that was sitting next to her husband, she is, as my mom would say, she is super smart. Right? So she is super smart, right? They were sitting in this car getting ready to buy it, and they're talking and chatting, and they called me, right? So before I tell you the whole story behind their call, if you are out there thinking about buying a car, one really big thing, if you're going to lease it, if you insist on leasing a car, and some might do that for business, right? I have folks who lease cars all the time because they admit they have a car addiction and they want a new car every 2 years, no matter what. So leasing for business, it makes sense. It's good. And they get a brand new car every 2 years. Now, it's basically just a glorified rental car that's very expensive. And if you insist on leasing a car, you really got to do this. Educate yourself. And the great part is you can do this online. Just go to Google, YouTube, go to YouTube and search leasing, right? Leasing. And there's a number of training videos out there, specifically people leasing cars. And it's great, great information. So if you're thinking about leasing a car, educate yourself. Leasing a car is very profitable for car dealerships because most people are completely clueless, totally ignorant on how to negotiate a lease. And yes, you can negotiate the heck out of a lease. So please educate yourself before you walk in to get a lease on a car. And if you want to pay cash for a car, pull out your cell phone first. Please, how many times have I said this? There's so much power in the palm of your hand today, and we don't use it for anything other than Snapchat and Candy Crush. It's amazing. Please, pull out your phone. So my friend and my wife and her husband are sitting, my friend and his, let me get my tongue on straight. My friend and his wife are sitting in this used car at the dealership, right? And this super smart wife called me from the dealership and said, hey, we're about to buy a car, and they wanted to know, what I thought about this car they were about to buy. Now, those of you who listen to the show, you might know that I have a hobby, a car dealership license as a hobby because I'm a car guy. I do a car show every week, and I enjoy the car world. It's a lot of fun, and I have fun with it. So these folks she remembered, hey, Kraig is a car guy. Maybe we should ask him to kind of check this out. So while they're in the car, they're calling me, and they were about to spend $16,000 on a good quality used car with a nice warranty left on the factory warranty. Now, what did I do? I was actually in my wood shop where I am right now recording this show, and I pulled out my cell phone. And said, well, let me kind of take a look at that. And I got the identification number of the vehicle, and I looked it up, and I said, whoa, no, $16,000, that's crazy. That's just way crazy. Hold on a sec. Let me check something else. And on my phone, again, just my phone, I pulled up my Craigslist app, and I found 3 different examples of the same car. Similar miles, going to have the same factory warranty, all is good. And I found it for $12,900. That's a $3,100 difference. And I pulled out my phone and found that in less than a minute. $3,100 savings is basically a 20% savings in a few clicks on the cell phone in my hand. And in this world of technology, it blows me away that so many of us are still just stuck in the yellow pages, penny saver, newspaper classifieds era of thinking. Like, we're just going to drive down to the dealership and go buy a car. When we probably drove by 4 of them, right, that we could have found very easily in the palm of our hand, right? That's the thing. And here's the part that's crazy to me, that you've also got to think about your network, your resources, your connections. Think about people you know. So this great lady called me from the dealership because she remembered, hey, Kraig has a car dealership license. Maybe he could help us tell us if this is a good deal. What she forgot is that I have a car dealer license. So I can actually go to the car dealer only auction on my phone, and I can look at those same cars to see what car dealerships paying for them. And sure enough, I found a couple right now that I'm inquiring about that are at $11,500 and $12,000. So maybe another $900 to over $1,000 savings on the same car, same similar mileage, same features. It doesn't have a dead body in the trunk, nothing crazy like that, right? It's just Do a little homework, folks. Remember your network, and for goodness sake, put down the social media and whip up a shopping app, a Craigslist app, an AliExpress, an Amazon app, an eBay app. I mean, offer up Facebook Marketplace. I've gone through this stuff before. Owe it to yourself, man. Save yourself some money. So for this wonderful lady and her husband, we're on track now to pick up basically the same car for at least 20%, if not pushing 25 to 30% less than they were about to drive off on the lot because they didn't check it on their basic cell phones sitting in their hands. Now, the next segment is watch your step. Okay, so last episode, I talked about the apathy of success, getting lulled into this sense of, oh, everything's great, so I don't have to do that, or I'm not worried about this. I don't want everybody to be worried all the time. But if you feel like you're just sort of cruise control because everything's really going great, that is the time that's really important for you to stop and step back and be strategic and thoughtful in your thinking and planning. So go back and listen to that episode, The Apathy of Success. Now, this week, I want to help you watch out for the tax deduction marketing pitch. It is that time of year now. This show will air in August of 2018, but August through the end of the year is the time that more and more people are thinking about their 401ks. They're thinking about IRAs. There's a lot of marketing out there from Wall Street saying, oh, you don't forget to put the money in your IRA and get your tax deduction this year, right? I've talked to 4 people, and in the last week, that were told they should open up retirement accounts to save money on their taxes. Save money on their taxes, right? Each time I dug into the details, I was easily able to help these folks see for themselves that an IRA or a 401k contribution or a SEP IRA contribution was not and may not be a tax savings for them. So let me ask you this question to set the stage. Think about this for yourself as you're in your car, you're on that treadmill, you're running down that road, as you're hiking, whatever you're doing. Think about this question and your personal answer. And if you're in a place where you can do it, say it out loud. Say the answer out loud. Do you believe that taxes will be higher or lower in the future? Higher. I believe they will be higher. I have never had anybody say, oh yeah, taxes will be lower. Oh, for sure, definitely lower, right? If this is the case, that everybody I've personally asked, and if it's your answer, that taxes will be higher in the future, and if it's also the case that the government will have to raise taxes in the future to pay for underfunded Medicare, Social Security, Medi-Cal, government pensions, right? How can we assume that taxes will be lower? We can't. We cannot assume that taxes will be lower. If the government has mismanaged all of these systems that they have to provide money for, and the money comes from taxes, is it really safe to assume, oh, sure, taxes will be lower in the future? I disagree with that. I think no. I think we need to plan for the exact opposite. And if taxes are lower, fine. That was a surprise. But if they're higher, we're prepared. We know that it's higher, right? Which pot of money does the government control the rules completely? When you think about a big old pot of money, one of them I think of is student loan debt. Student loan debt, if you did not know or hear it on my show a few weeks ago, is the largest asset on the balance sheet of the United States, is the debt on student loans. And student loans, for example, are the only loan that you can't go bankrupt on. I wonder why. Because it's a government student loan and the government makes the rules. I'm saying that the biggest pool of money that the government controls is IRAs and 401ks. trillions. Was it 21 trillion dollars in 401k and IRA? Who controls the rules? Yep, the government. Who is the primary beneficiary on 401k and IRA? Not your spouse, not your children. The primary beneficiary gets paid first, and that would be the government. The government controls the rules. So if we all agree, and even if you don't, stick with me, stay with me, that taxes will be higher in the future, right? And the government controls the rules on the account that the CPA world and Wall Street world primarily, but a lot of CPAs like to encourage people to put, maximum money into 401ks. And the Wall Street world, of course, loves it. Maximum money. And they say, get your tax deduction. Don't miss your tax deduction. Well, it's not a tax deduction. It's a tax deferral. A tax deferral, a postponement. So we don't pay taxes today, and we will pay taxes in the future when the vast majority of people agree that taxes will be, yes, higher, right? So wait a minute. Is it possible that we might actually pay more in taxes when we take the money out than we saved when we put the money in? Yeah, it's entirely possible. Now, am I saying do not put money in 401ks and IRAs? Of course not. I'm saying don't put them in with the sales pitch in your head. I got to get my tax deduction this year. No such thing. If you're not dealing with someone, a financial planner or professional, that is helping you build out an actual structured plan on what to do with the tax savings. So when you put X amount of dollars into a 401k, you saved X amount of dollars in taxes somewhere, right? You didn't spend $6,000 or $7,000. What you really need to do for yourself is you've got to make sure that you're investing some other pool of money so that you are prepared to balance the scales someday when that day of reckoning comes and the government comes for their tax money. One of the biggest disappointments I've heard from people with their 401ks in retirement is, man, I can't believe how much I'm paying in taxes, right? And remember that $1 million balance in a 401k at retirement, it looks great. It looks good. Looks like you're a millionaire. You are not a millionaire if you have $1 million in a 401k, because at least $300,000 to $350,000 of it belongs to Uncle Sam, your silent 401k partner, sitting there for years and years and years while you pay the fees and take the risks. Uncle Sam is there waiting to take their part of your IRA or 401k balance. Because remember, your $1 million statement, it's really only $650, maybe $700, because the rest of it belongs to the government. And one more thing before I'm done with watch your step today. Okay. So let me close with one more thing on that 401k side. I need to make it very clear. 401k is an awesome place to be. Definitely a great place to save, especially if you have a company match. If your company doesn't offer it and you'd like me to consult in, maybe I can help, put a 401k in place. Gosh, it'd be great for you, great for your company. I'd love to help. Always send me an email, Kraig@kraigstrom.com. It's just what's missing in 401k conversations is the other side of the equation that says, what are you doing to build up a pool of investments and savings and long-term money that can help you balance your income scales when taxes might be higher in the future? Nobody's ever talking about it. They're just saying, give me more money for the 401k and saying you got a great tax deduction this year, right? Doesn't exist. So one more thing before I leave this, watch your step. This is something else that's come up recently quite a bit. Please don't fall for, you have too much cash in your investment account, or you have too much cash in the bank, or you have too much cash. I have heard multiple individuals in the last 30 days say that either a financial advisor or they personally have thought to themselves, I've got too much cash. Think about this, folks. whenever the economy finally takes a downturn, and it's coming, we just hit the 10-year anniversary of a bull market. Never, ever happened before, right? And maybe it's because we haven't had a great recession to climb out of like we did, 10 years ago. Maybe that's because it was an unprecedented crash across the board, right? It takes great suffering for great things to happen in the future. Maybe that's the whole idea, right? But whenever the economy finally does take a downturn, those people who have cash in the bank, cash in their life insurance policies, cash in their investment accounts, right? Those people will be ready for major buying opportunities, right? Major buying opportunities require liquidity to take advantage of the opportunities. Now, there is such a thing as too much cash, but don't fall for this general notion, oh, that's too much cash. Please remember, cash does not lose 20% when the markets fall. I don't know about you, but I like not losing 20%, right? Yes. Oh, there's a long-term rate of return that I'm not getting. Well, so what? If you're not operating on a long-term horizon, you probably shouldn't be an investor anyway, right? How much cash is too much to keep on hand? I don't know your number. Let's talk. Send me an email, Kraig with a K at kraigstrom.com, and let's talk. Let's go through your own personal situation and just talk about the details, right? Now, still boggles my mind that people forget this advice. Please, whenever you think, I wonder if this account is secure, or I wonder if my data is secure, or you go for a mortgage and they want to ask you for your social security numbers and your thumbprint and the color of your eyes and a DNA scan. And, well, is my data secure? Well, ask Equifax, ask Chase Bank, ask major retailers around the country. Is your data secure? No, it's not, right? So the only way to really make sure that your credit can't be stolen and taken is to freeze your credit. If you'd like to freeze your credit, finally do it. Send me an email, Kraig at kraigstrom.com, subject line freeze, and I will shoot you back the links that you can go to the credit agencies and very easily freeze your credit. If you need credit someday, you can thaw your credit very easily again for just a easy process. Folks, freeze your credit. It's the only way to really solidly prevent anybody from using your social security number. Nobody can use your social to open a credit card. Nobody can use your social to get a job at a chicken ranch in Tennessee. Nobody can use your social if it's frozen, because people will do a credit check and your credit's frozen, right? Just that simple. All right, now on to the next segment. These are some listener questions and some observations from Kraig, right? Last episode, great one if you want to listen to this idea of the retail mindset, this immediate gratification idea that's built into our culture and our society. It's costing people major money, huge money. Control of your spending is a critical component of financial independence. If your outflow constantly rises to your inflow, you will never achieve financial independence. It just isn't going to happen, right? If you control your spending and get into this idea of finding places that you currently spend retail money and find a deal. Remember, like the folks buying the car, there's 20 to 30% oftentimes savings, reduction in your cost of living, just sitting in the palm of your hand. Check your phone, right? Now this week, a listener wrote in and said, my husband and I never worked with a financial planner before. Lately, we've been talking about, whether we can retire in the next 10 years. I found your podcast while searching for retirement education info on iTunes. Well, thank you very much. That's awesome. There are many shows to choose from. Your message sounded different, and it made me wonder, how does one choose a financial planner? Great question. And I've actually had that question recently. How does somebody choose a financial planner? Relationship is one of the biggest, most important components of choosing a financial planner. So, for example, if you work with me, I am a talker. I am a joker. I am extremely engaging and gregarious. I'm out there. I'm not shy. I don't really have a poker face. I just say it the way it is most of the time, right? If I'm not your type, if my personality is not a good fit with yours, it doesn't really matter how qualified I am. In some cases, that might be a stopping point right there. So relationship is a critical aspect of choosing a financial planning professional to work with, right? However, relationship can also lead to complacency. Complacency because I've known my financial planner for a long time. I've actually talked to some folks recently that said, yeah, we've worked with the same guy for 20 some odd years. Well, okay, good. My suggestion is this. Find out if your current advisor, for example, has evolved and grown in their intelligence and their ability to support perhaps your now more advanced position. That's so important to remember. A lot of folks start working with a banker, a CPA, a financial advisor, a lawyer, back when they're just getting started, and then they find themselves years later working with the exact same CPA, financial planner, and lawyer while their entire world has grown and it's gotten more complicated and now they own a business and all this stuff. And what they find out when they talk to me is I start asking questions and digging into their current relationship, and then they realize, well, maybe my current CPA really isn't actually at a level that we need in a CPA for a business like ours. Great example. Two guys started a business. They live in Michigan, started a business. And when they started, they literally were struggling, eating top ramen. They were making $5,000 a month. $5,000 a month. They had a CPA who was helping them do their very basic, very basic taxes. There was nothing major to do. Doing their little business tax, basically struggling on savings. And today, they run $5 million a month. $5 million a month from a $5,000 a month business to $5 million. And you guessed it, they're working with the same CPA. And frankly, they have never heard a creative tax planning idea. In the years and years that they've worked with this person, their CPA has stayed a basic CPA. That's okay. It's just not the right CPA relationship for two guys making $5 million a month, right? That's just not right. So how do you choose a financial planner was the question, though. Relationship is key. It's absolutely important, but should not lead to complacency. So I'm not suggesting that you get rid of your current advisor, but I would suggest that if you haven't, you really need to ask a lot of hard questions. You really do need to ask, hey, what's your education look like? What kind of continuing education do you do every year to expand? I mean, you know what? We've never talked about it. What kind of advanced tax strategies, perhaps using legal and financial tools, could you offer to help us actually plan and save more on our taxes? Anything that's more advanced that we could talk about, right? What does that cost? Ask a financial advisor that question. What does that really cost? If you have an attorney or a CPA or a financial planner, but in my case, we're talking about financial planner. Don't be shy. I've met so many people. I've worked with my financial advisor for 10, 15 years. And I ask, well, how much are they charging on your investment account? Well, I don't know. I think it's 1%. I say, no. What's the total all-in cost that you pay every year for these investments? I don't know. You've never asked? Well, no. I mean, he's been a friend. I mean, he's a friend for the last 10 or 15 years. So what? Ask the hard questions, right? Relationship is so important. Your relationship isn't going to be hurt by someone saying, well, hey, how much does this really cost? If it's a good, solid relationship and that person is performing well for you, the answers will be the answers and you'll move on. Asking questions like, what are the underlying fees of this investment that we're in or that investment? Are there alternatives? Are there alternatives that might be on the other side, like guaranteed side? Are there anything out there that we could do in a combination of things together? How do you get paid? Right? These are questions that are hard questions for some people to ask because they've had these relationships for a long time. Now, as a standard practice, I do my best to answer a lot of tough questions for people. I include them in my initial conversations with new introductions or prospective clients. I do that all the time to make sure that I just answer those questions, right? That's the thing. And when you're looking at choosing a financial planner or talking to your current planner, you really need to be prepared to think about and ask the questions that you haven't asked before. Don't get stuck in like the relationship. Make sure that you remember to come back to a business perspective and ask those questions, right? A great example, some folks who came to talk to me, they were introduced by a mentor who was a gajillionaire, which is really flattering that he would suggest to his young mentee student, really, that works with him in his business, hey, go talk to Kraig. He's really good at analyzing things, and he'll give you a straight-up opinion. They came to me, and I asked, what was your primary thing on your mind? Well, this couple said, we have a friend that we've known since college, and he works at this financial company, and he's recommending that we get this kind of life insurance. In this case, it was cash value, whole life insurance, right? So, okay, I went in and we started digging in, and I started asking a bunch of questions, lots and lots of questions about why and what was it for, and tell me about your young family. Oh, you have one child. Okay, great. Well, it all came back around to looking at this insurance, and I said, absolutely not. This insurance is, and by the way, there's sometimes that I don't need to sit there and dance around things. I'm just going to tell you straight up. So I looked at this insurance, and for those of you who are new to the show, those of you who have been on the show for a while listening, I am a huge fan of whole life insurance. I think that when you truly understand it as an asset class, it's fantastic. It really is. But it's not the end-all, be-all. And for this couple, it was being recommended in a completely inappropriate way. Totally wrong, makes me mad. Now, remember, these folks have a relationship, a long-standing relationship with another financial advisor. So what did I do? I said, no, this insurance is wrong. And here's what you should ask your current financial advisor. Go back and ask these questions. And I gave them a series of questions. I literally typed them out and gave them a series of questions saying to ask this guy, their friend, could he change their policy? Could he do something different with what he's recommending? I know full well that he could. Maybe he doesn't know how, but if he does, he'll be able to answer my questions. So that's what this couple did. They left the meeting with me educated, and they went back to their friend and said, they did say this, they said, we met with a certified financial planner who suggested that we ask these questions. The friend said, yeah, you know what? Let me check with that. Because no, he didn't really truly understand how to design their whole life insurance and their life insurance plan in general. He didn't understand. He knew what he was taught to sell. He just didn't know how to design and be creative. Fortunately, my prompting, my list, came back with something much better for this couple, and they did decide to stay working with their friend. okay? I don't like always just giving free education to other financial planners. However, I'm always going to do the right thing. I guess that's just a great way to end on that topic, right? So now, on this same kind of topic, I actually spoke with a lady in back east. She's in Tennessee. She's a chief financial officer for a major company, and she came to me through an introduction from an attorney. She has a degree in economics and a background in accounting. So basically, she's smarter than me. She's smarter than me. She's wicked smart, right? And she's blessed to earn a high enough income that her tax bill is pretty substantial. Even in a tax-friendly state like Tennessee, her federal taxes are pretty high, right? So at the end of our call, after hearing a lot, obviously listening to me and asking lots of questions and bringing us all over the place with different tax strategy ideas and different general concepts, she said that the call went much better than she expected. She said that she had interviewed several other financial advisors and accountants, and she felt like she was telling them the answers. She asked me why she had never heard about some of the tax planning strategies that we discussed. Well, my answer is this. It's always the same. Because not everyone gets a chance to work with a team like mine. We have worked hard. I'm saying we. I've got attorneys, CPA partners, other financial planning partners. We have all worked hard to be at the top of our trade, and we are always learning, always studying, always advancing and growing. And what you'll find is that only a small percentage, literally in the 5 to 1% range of financial planning professionals, CPAs, attorneys, are in that top echelon of always learning, always willing to seek out new knowledge and to change and pivot and adjust. That's the difference when people work with myself and my team. We're the ones who didn't get stuck 20 years ago doing the same old thing. We advance, right? So the reason that you hear things that you've never heard from other advisors, from people like me, is because I am in that prestigious group of financial planners that think outside the Wall Street box. That's the key, okay? Outside the Wall Street box. I'm going to leave it at that, folks. I've got a lot more to cover on the next show. Very much looking forward to the next episode. I really love all the questions that come in. I love the feedback. Please keep it coming. If you haven't jumped on iTunes and left me a review, I would super appreciate it. I'm going to be covering some of those reviews actually in upcoming episodes, and I've got some cool things that I'm working on, changing some new changes and additions to the podcast. Thank you so much. If you've got questions that you want answered on the show or in person, I'd love to have a meeting with you. Email me, Kraig@kraigstrom.com, and I'll talk to you again real soon. Take care, folks.
Thank you for listening to the Personal Pension Radio podcast. We took notes for you, so if you missed any part of the show, you can find a full transcript of each episode at personalpensionradio.com. Be sure to download your free retirement income crisis report at personalpensionradio.com. While you're at it, we would appreciate some iTunes love. Please leave us a fantastic rating on iTunes by going to personalpensionradio.com/iTunes. Thanks again for listening. Now for the disclosure. Information presented is for educational purposes only and is not intended for solicitation, sale or purchase of any security or financial product. Be sure to first consult with a qualified financial advisor and your tax professional before implementing any strategy discussed here. The term personal pension refers to a marketing name designed to educate future retirees and retirees about the economic principles behind creating their own pension-like income. The term personal pension is not intended to be confused with a defined benefit pension plan offered by an employer or by a government entity.